Impossible.
Just gonna die in the end.
Okay, now, as most of you know by now, Simone Biles, who is the greatest gymnast in the world, pulled out of most all of the competitions in the Olympics this year. Now, she first pulled out of the team competition, and that was after she had first attempted, I should have researched, I believe it was a vault. But anyway, whatever it was, once she got up in the air, she just got lost. She blew it. She was all over the place. She couldn't find her landing point. It just was not certainly not a typical Simone Biles attempt at anything. She's just absolutely brilliant. After that, she decided to pull out of the team competition. At first, there was some confusion. People thought it was a physical injury. Turns out it was not. She had other reasons for doing so. Because of that, a significant number of people, particularly it seems more conservative voices, excuse me, sorry guys, have said that this means that Simone is a quitter. She's a choker, and they have said so in so many words. And to say that I'm struggling to understand them coming to that conclusion, especially when you learn all the particulars of this situation, would be an understatement. To say I think that these people who are saying these things are uninformed buffoons, in my opinion, would be an accurate statement. Let's look into it more. Okay, by the way, full disclosure, as I like to do anytime I'm talking about a specific person, athlete, politician, whatever, as far as my fandom, I'm a fan of Simone's. I really enjoy her. I root for her. I'm amazed by her. And I'm not a huge gymnastics fan. It's not something that's real important to me. But in fairness, yes, I'm a big fan of anybody that shows off that kind of just insane, ridiculous athleticism. Maybe because in my sports career, whatever I played, I was always battling the fact that I wasn't an elite athlete. So I have a lot of admiration for those who are. So I've always been a big fan of Simone's, just like Venus Williams, for instance. Same reasons. The athleticism was just off the charts. So to come after her, and listen, my conclusions I draw here have nothing to do with the fandom. It has to do with the circumstances and the actual facts of the matter. To call Simone a choker when she has realized, for whatever reason, that she can't perform up to par and that her team has a better chance of doing well without her, and then in the individual elements, understanding that a teammate would have a better chance of medaling than does she in backing out, is not choking. This is taking, to me, there's no difference in Simone saying, okay, my mind and body can't get together, so I'm going to step back because I'm not performing at my peak, is no different than an athlete who retires due to age even. When you just realize, for whatever reason, your body can't do the things that it could before, and you pull back. So whenever someone if someone has to retire mid-season from baseball because they realize they just can't do it anymore, now they're chokers. It happens. And whatever the reason for it may be, to take ownership of it and just say, okay, I got to step back, is admirable. Is it heroic? No, because people are going over the top saying the other extreme is, this was the most heroic thing I've seen in sports. I've seen some of that, right? And it's not heroic. It's doing the right thing. It's doing what she needed to do for her and for her team. But I want to take a look at some of what was said. I've got this queued up here. This comes from Michael Knowles. Knowles. I'm not sure how he pronounced it. He's and again, you guys know I lean right, so I'm not trying to target conservatives here at all. It's just these are the people that have said these things. I've got this queued up to something he had to say about it. Here we go. Listen to this for me.
Okay, there's a lot of variables as to why she quit. And she was a little stressed out. And look, she's just there to have fun. She's just there for her, right?
He had just, at this point I should mention, he had just listened to her making a statement about why she wasn't there. Did she present... Listen, athletes don't have to be public speakers. Did she present everything perfectly? No, but what she said was legit. It isn't fun for her. Does it have to be fun? That's up for debate. But it still is neither here nor there with the fact that she just simply couldn't compete.
Of course not. I mean, this is sad. This is pathetic. This is disgraceful. But I don't want to be too hard on.
Did you guys get that? Did you hear that one? This is sad. This is pathetic. This is disgraceful. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Michael Knowles, I don't know who that... How is any of this sad, pathetic, or disgraceful? What's sad, pathetic, or disgraceful is calling somebody to task for realizing that for whatever reason they're limited and trying to allow others who might perform better to take their place. Now we'll listen to a little bit more because he's about to make another point apparently.
Simone Biles here. One, because I don't know anything about Simone Biles and I'm not that interested. But
there
also,
you go.
Two, because I think Simone Biles is the voice of her generation. I think
Jesus Christ. Here we go. Yeah. Everybody, listen. Are there people who aren't as mentally tough as others? Yes. Are there people who weren't as mentally tough as others in every generation? You bet your fucking ass there were. Does anybody... Michael Knowles, and at least he admits that he's talking about something about which he has absolutely no fucking idea whatsoever. This is just pissing me off. I don't know who Simone Biles is. Don't care. All I know is if you don't compete when you said you were going to show up, you're a choker. You're a quitter. What the fuck do you know? What a load of garbage this is. Michael doesn't seem to be a huge sports fan, so he probably doesn't remember Roberto Duran and the no mas fight against Sugar Ray Leonard. That was a choke. That was somebody quitting. That was a quitter. Because it was one-on-one. There was nobody to back Duran up. He was already in the midst of a fight. He wasn't stepping down to give a teammate a chance to win. He was stepping down because he was getting humiliated by a superior boxer on that evening. Leonard was slapping the shit out of him, and he didn't like it, so he quit. That's a quitter. Saying that you know you're not up to par, you can't compete at the level you want to compete at for whatever reason, so I'm going to step back and let somebody else do it, isn't quitting. This is absolute insanity. And now I'm going to go to another clip. This was Ben Shapiro. Now, in fairness, Ben was not nearly as rough on her as were many of his conservative talk brethren. But I do want to play you this clip here. Here we go.
Has been going after Simone Biles and saying, she choked here.
He's talking about others having
by the way,
said
by
it.
any sports standard, she did. Right? She's a competitor.
No, absolutely untrue. A choke is when you are in the moment, when you're about to take that free throw, and you've made, you've taken a free throw. You're an NBA star, and you've taken free throws tens, hundreds of thousands of times. And then in the moment where it's the shot to win or tie the game, you bounce it, you airball it or bounce it off the back of the rim. You don't even come close. That's a choke. When you're a bowler and you need in the final frame to win and you throw a gutter ball, that's a choke. It's not choking to admit to yourself that you're not playing at the best of your ability. But do these guys, wait a second, I don't know. Do conservative talk show hosts, have any of them ever played? Are they disallowed from ever having participated in a sport? Could be.
Every competitor in sport and every other area of life is a competitor and also a person. So you can understand where they're coming from personally if they withdraw from a competition. But it is fair to say that if LeBron James were in Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and after quarter one, he said, I just don't have it today. I don't have it. I'm out. I'm going to leave this team. They're on their own.
Okay. Now, that's the part I wanted you to hear. I'm going to explain to Ben exactly why what he's just said is just a spew of horse shit dribbling out of his mouth. Because you're talking two entirely different arenas of sport, and that's very important here. With what Simone Biles does, it's all compacted into quick individual moments where you need that ultra laser focused concentration. A lot of what LeBron does, and it's not taken away from him, he's one of the great, I'm not even a LeBron fan, but he's one of the greatest to ever do it, is instinctual and in the moment. It's fast, it's moving, it's driving. You don't have time to stop and think. You just have to rely on muscle memory and your innate physical abilities to take over. And if LeBron's a little cold from the field, so what? He's still out there for defensive purposes. It's still going to be an ongoing thing, a flowing motion within a 48-minute game. What Simone does is individual moments of just a few seconds apiece. And if you can't get yourself in the right frame of mind for those individual moments, you're going to fail. The only thing you could equate to that is similar with LeBron and Simone is, as I said, an NBA player at the foul line. Now you have to rely on that concentration, that muscle memory to do everything you want to do. A lot of guys have issues with it. My favorite player in the world, Giannis Antetokounmpo, whose name I always struggle on. Sorry, Giannis. We saw him struggle throughout the NBA playoffs. Now, in the game 7, when it was crucial, he came through, but he struggled throughout. So I'm going to put this out there. Nobody, after what just happened in the NBA playoffs, can call Giannis Antetokounmpo a choker. That's for goddamn sure. He scored 50 points in game 7 and took over and carried that team on his back to a championship. Nobody can call him a quitter. But I'd be willing to bet, I'd bet every cent I have, that if there was no time left on the clock and Giannis got fouled and the Bucks were down by 1, and he was going to the line for those 2 free throws, if somebody said to him, hey, we're going to change the rules, Giannis, and we can let Chris Middleton come in and take those shots for you, I'll bet you he'd have let him. Not because Giannis doesn't have faith in himself, because he knows this guy never misses. Giannis knows that's a place where he struggles. Even when he has a good night, he knows he struggles at the free throw line. He's got a teammate who you know goddamn well is going to hit one of the two. Very, very likely going to hit both of them. I think he shoots free throws at about 90%. Giannis for the series, excuse me, sorry guys, I'm getting too emotional. Giannis for the series, I think, was about 55. So if that had taken place and Giannis had opted out and said, yeah, sure, let Chris take the shots, is he a choker? Is he a quitter? Because it's the exact same thing that Simone did. But in that situation, I think the vast majority of people would say, no, Giannis is a good teammate. He understands his weaknesses, and he let somebody else take care of business for him, especially when Chris Middleton goes swish, swish, and drains the 2 free throws. This is bullshit. This has nothing to do with choking. This has nothing to do with quitting. She did what she needed to do in the moment. There's no difference in this, in her not being able to compete because she can't get her mind and body together, than her not being able to compete because she broke her leg. There's no difference at all. She knew it at the time. And I'm going to show you one more thing that really, really disgusted me. And then I'm going to tell you one last pertinent and personal thing that really struck me about all this. But I want you guys to look at this. Here's another one of them, just so you guys can see what was going on here. This is Matt Walsh. This is his thumbnail for his video. Simone Biles should not be celebrated, as he says, quitter, in his thumbnail. Fuck you, Matt. Jesus Christ, you guys are pure bullshit. But here, I'm going to end it with this. I have a personal story, very recent personal story, that I think really equates to this well. And you're going to be like, Curtis, you're about 800 years old. How are you relating a recent story to athletics? I'm going to tell you how. I have certainly never considered myself a quitter. I certainly don't consider myself a choker. You know, I played sports. I played baseball all the way up to semi-pro. I played all the high school sports, played in all different leagues, in a lot of different things, boxing, baseball, football, all of it. And played basketball, but really sucked. But now, in my pro wrestling career, as far as quitting, I've been unconscious in the ring, woke back up and finished matches. I finished matches with torn muscles, with broken bones. It's what you do in wrestling. So I don't consider myself a quitter. Train. I had never walked off a field due to injury. Any field of play, I had never left one due to injury. And then last year, as many of you know, I joined an over 55 baseball league. I'll make the story as brief as possible, but we were playing a game. I was playing left field. I was chasing down a liner that just stayed fair down the left field line. As I was chasing it, I felt a tear in my right hamstring. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever torn a ligament of that magnitude, but it's unlike any other pain. You actually feel the tear take place. I felt it rip. So I knew what had happened. It wasn't a clean rip. It's not like something came off the bone, but it was painful. You could tell it was a rip within the tendon. I was like, okay, I'm going to ignore it because I'm almost 60 years old. I'm just going to get whatever I can out of this beat up body, and I'm going to continue playing baseball. A few days later, we have another game. It was already bad. I had the back of my leg was pretty black. I knew I had injured it, but it's like, no, screw it. I'm going to play. I can put up with the pain. I had a career of wrestling where you dealt with pain every day. First at bat, there's a runner on first. I hit a grounder to short, and I decide I'm going to try and beat it out so I can beat out the double play. Every stride I took down first base, I could feel that ripping more and more and more. You distinctly felt it, and it hurt. As soon as I crossed first base, I immediately went into a hard tumble just to get off my legs because I was tearing it up so much. Everybody came out and checked on me. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I could barely. The pain was so much it had almost gone numb. I'm like, no, I can keep going. So now this game, I was playing center field. In that very next inning, guy hits a liner out to center. I'm like, okay, I can get it for it. It's dropping. I can get it. So I come running in, and I had to dive for it at an angle. And when I dove forward to try and make the catch, my right leg didn't work at all. My left leg did, so it just shot me off to the right of where the ball landed. Because my body wasn't working how it was supposed to, the ball rolls all the way to the wall, guy gets a triple. It's an over 55 league. In any other league, it would have been an inside the park home run. We're just lucky if we can run to 3 bases without dying. Guy gets a triple. It was the first time I ever had to take myself out of a game. Not because the pain was overwhelming. I could have dealt with the pain. Not because I didn't want to play, but because it didn't matter that I was starting in that position. At that point, the guy behind me was going to be way better for the team than I was. I was useless. I had no foot speed left. I couldn't even control I can't control my body. I couldn't control what my body was going to do. I'm not helping. So I was like, I told our manager, Jimmy, I said, Jimmy, I got to come out. I can't play it. It just won't react. My leg's gone. So does that make me a quitter? Does that make me a choker? First time ever in my life I walked off any field, even in a pickup basketball game, even anything on a sandlot. I've never left the field before, and it hurt, and it sucked. But it was a close game. I wanted my team to be able to do well, and they weren't going to do well with me manning center field. So if that makes me a quitter, if that makes me a choker, so be it. But forgive me if I don't put too much stock in what Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, or Ben Shapiro have to say about it. You guys are screwed in the head.